Hola, y'all. Soy Ben. Color me surprised. The Dora movie was actually good. It's a surprisingly grounded action archaeologist movie. It's right up there with the kid Indiana Jones. It's predictable enough that I'm not going to worry about spoilers. But that's not always a bad thing. We are introduced to Dora as a familiar child, and it's outright stated in the introduction that the TV series happened almost exclusively in her imagination, as there's a live-action recreation of the cartoon introduction that phases into her driving a toy car. They even include her "Can you say Spanish word" shtick, and her parents wish it away as just a phase. She lives in the jungle with her parents, a pair of archaeologists who are looking for the fabled lost city of Parapata to not cross copyrights about El Dorado. But yeah, it's El Dorado. There's then a time skip to age 16, and Dora is shipped off to the city, which is implied to be Los Angeles, but is never officially identified. Her personality is the same Dora from the show, so she plays the embarrassingly smart and naive trope to the T, embarrassing cousin Diego to no end. Dora's parents are supposedly very close to Parapata, but their calls suddenly stop. During a field trip, Dora, Diego, Alphabitch, and Geek Dude, who are walking stereotypes, so I'm going to refer to them as such throughout the rest of this, are kidnapped and shoved into a crate by a group of mercenaries in Swiper. They are transported to Peru and are rescued by Alejandro, a friend of Dora's family, who totally isn't going to betray them at the beginning of Act 3. Then, for reasons not explained, they decide they have to rescue Dora's parents instead of getting the kids home. Act 2 involves a trek through the jungle. Dora's perky sing-song nature gets on Alphabet's nerves, leading to a series of arguments while Diego and Alpha fall in love. They are then chased by the legendary Guardian Indian tribe, who shoot arrows but don't actually follow them. Geek and Alpha get a chance to leave when an elderly Incan woman offers to show the group back to civilization. They take it, then quickly regret it. There's a poppy field sequence where flowers cause the characters to hallucinate, i.e., cartoon Dora and Diego. They are saved when their friends come back and pull them out. They then get into a booby trap where the geek's swimming abilities come to the rescue. They meet Dora's parents, and it's revealed that Mr. Not a Traitor is actually a traitor, and with the mercenaries. They get to the city gates, where Boots helps the kids escape. They then decide to go through the temple and attempt to trade the treasure for Dora's parents. There are a few classic traps that are clear callbacks to Indiana Jones, with the final being present the idol with the best choice. Traitor comes in, revealing that he was following them, and presents a gold coin, failing the test but shockingly not dying. This is a Nintendo franchise after all. The Guardian Incans come in with the rest of the group at Crossbow Point, led by the elderly woman, who magically changes into a youthful high priestess. She gives Dora the ability to try the test, and she succeeds, revealing the great treasure, a golden monkey statue the size of a building. Swiper then ruins the moment by stealing the treasure, a smaller idol, leading to standard Temple Run escape. Dora returns the idol and the temple magically rights itself and closes the doors. Diego and Alphabet kiss, and everyone returns to normal. Dora decides to go back to high school instead of staying in the jungle with friends, and there is a big ending dance scene. Now, it's actually a good movie. The comedy is on point, and while the high school moments are cringy, it's not as bad as that genre often gets. Dora's personality is genuinely sweet, but also genuinely irritating, making Diego stop embarrassing the actions actually understandable. And despite how cartoonish Boots looks, Dora's interactions with him are endearing. The action is silly, but the tone is consistent enough that it's never eye-rolling. They also kept Dora's character consistent. Her darkest moment of character growth is when she lets the traitor trip the final trap. But even that's consistent with the little girl our kids grew up with. The only violence perpetrated by our heroes is hitting someone with a yo-yo. Now, interestingly, much of Acts 2 and 3 are not really based on Dora at all, but are highly reminiscent of another Nickelodeon property, Legends of the Hidden Temple. There's even a running gag about the geek and jungle puzzles. It's amusing that they're using multiple properties the way they are. That being said, it's not without its fault. The cartoon character in high school story has been done to death, and the group thrust together into adversity becomes friends isn't exactly novel either. Also, while the geek does get some useful points in by helping out in the main gate with his ability to swim, a alpha gal only really exists to serve as a source of conflict and a love interest. Diego, too, is more of a load than anything else. Finally, the world is a bit inconsistent. The introduction clearly shows the TV show was just in Dora's imagination, but makes it jarring when Swiper is shown to be completely real. This is a shock to Alpha as she babbles along for a bit about there's a talking fox. Aside from the presence of Swiper, it's a classic Indiana Jones, modern world but ancient magic is a real setting. While Swiper is an important part of the show, he isn't that important, and he doesn't really add to the movie. It would have been better to have omitted him entirely. And we have to address the fact that the whole Guardian Indian tribe is a bit racially insensitive, as is the entire genre for that matter. That being said, the actions they take are clearly reasonable. The Incans use crossbows and wear clothing similar to the Inca, with far more subdued patterns and more gold trim. Also makes a clear and repeated distinction between treasure hunters and explorers. It's clear that Dora is tolerated because of her respect, while the others were not, directly addressing what's considered the most problematic aspect of the action-adventure genre. Finally, the script is just a bit odd. It's almost as if it's deliberately avoiding words longer than 3 syllables. The word archaeologist is never uttered, and Diego simply lives in the city. Wasn't it played for comedy? I would feel a bit talked down to. This is doubly weird. Some pretty important lines are said in Spanish, and so non-reading children will have to use body language and context anyway. As a final aside, Doran and Friends is officially non-canon, as it just doesn't fit into this story. That's probably for the best, as the show pretty much outright confirmed Dora as a sorceress and had her extensively using magic. It's better off forgotten. Overall, it's a laugh. They didn't try and set up any grand cinematic universe or sequels. It's just good old fun. Worth your time if you had children or grew up with it yourself. So, thanks for listening, y'all. I'll see you next time.